Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to AriesEDC. So, I've been really thinking about how I was going to do this video, and I really still don't know how I'm going to do it. But I feel like it's something that I need to talk to you guys about. It's something that continually keeps coming up, and I feel like there's context involved that's going to help the channel and help you relate to the things that I'm saying when I'm talking about the knives that either I'm reviewing or that are in my collection or just my taste of knives. And that is, kind of what I do for a living. So it's a very long, drawn out kind of personal story, and I try not to mix too much of my personal life into this channel, but it keeps coming up with, especially like the knives that I've been reviewing lately or the knives that are in my collection. Something that keeps coming up is that I won't carry something for work. And there's a reason for that. Because what I do is exposing knives or tools to environments that aren't really great or conducive to steels that aren't stainless or aren't protected in some way. So it's kind of a long, drawn out story, and I'm going to try to give you guys the abbreviated version of it. But basically what I do Monday through Thursday is I work in the pool industry, and I basically I care for and I help clean pools here in the Central Florida area. And it's a year-round thing. We never close. We're always out there and we're always doing it. So when I say I'm out in the field doing something, that's what I'm doing. I'm out in the field and I'm servicing all the homes, or a lot of the homes that we have in our service area. And when I say our, I'm talking about the company that I work for. It's a small privately owned company, but we service probably about 830 some odd homes. And some of these are very affluent areas. Some of them are people that are just getting by and they need help with somebody to come and help take care of their pool. And that's where we come in. So I'm working outside in Florida. Usually by 9 or 10 o'clock, my shorts and my shirt are completely drenched in sweat. So when I'm carrying that knife in my pocket, and I'm just using this as an example because it happened to be sitting in front of me, this is the Remet RTB, it's gonna be exposed to, number one, my sweat. Number two, I'm getting splashed all day long. So water could possibly get on the blade. It's just a reality. And one of the biggest things that I am cutting open and I use the knife for is salt. So I'm opening bags of salt on a constant basis, which is why I kind of used a fixed blade. Because not only with salt, I'm opening boxes of acid. I'm dealing with chlorine, either on my hands or somewhere around me. So when I'm grabbing a knife, I probably have some of that residuals on my hand, which all of those things are horrible for a blade. So you're talking about the water, my sweat, salt, chlorine, acid, and then there's some other chemicals that we deal with as well. And there's different powders. We have DE powder and sodium bicarbonate and stabilizer, cyanuric acid. These are all things that we are dealing with, and I'm opening giant 40-pound bags of salt open, or big bags of DE powder, which is a really, really fine filtration medium. And that's where I started to get into a fixed blade, because when I'm using a folder, and I'm not talking about this one, this just happens to be sitting in front of me. This is the Pickled Steel Warhog. When you're opening those fine powders, I found the fine powders were getting into the pivot and they were causing me a lot of problems. And I was having to take apart my knives on a daily basis just to clean out all the gunk from that because it was really messing them up. Which is why I started to get into fixed blades, because I was like, I need a small little fixed blade to open up some of these bags so I don't have to deal with continually having to break open my knife. Just recently, I shared that knife with you guys that my wife bought me, and it's great, a little assisted Kershaw, but I couldn't take that thing apart. It took a lot to finally get that thing cleaned up. So what I'm dealing with on a daily basis are things that really aren't great and really hard on knives. So you have to be protecting your knife, or you get something that is going to be a great steel, which is why I love the Quiet Carry Chase and my Quiet Carry Waypoint, because one has Van X, one has LC200N. I have my little Dragonfly on H1, because here in Florida, rain is inevitable. We never know when it's going to rain. It can say it's going to be a sunny day and 90 degrees, and all of a sudden it's going to rain all day. That's just how it works here. I've lived here my whole life, so I'm kind of used to it. But I'm always prepared. So if I'm carrying something that is like this Elementum in D2, and it's going to rain, or it starts raining, I have to just throw this in the truck. That's not going to be on my pocket or really helpful to this knife. One day with this in my pocket, and I already stained this blade in one section. You can kind of see it right in there. I've already kind of got the steel, and I cleaned it up a little bit, but it already messed with it just because some of the things that I'm dealing with get in there. And I have everything in my pockets that I need. So I have testers and chem checkers and pens, and I have everything in my pockets. So I have the keys to the truck and everything's loaded in my pockets. So having big bulky things in my pockets isn't really going to be fun. Carrying a fanny pouch is just going to get in my way, and that just annoys me. So when I am talking about a knife that I can take to work, it's very specific. And sometimes I can get away with carrying something like this. If it's not going to be a really hot, overly humid day, I might throw something with D2 in my pocket, or something like this in my pocket. I carried this to work one day. This is 14C. I don't have any issues with 14C. I know it's going to hold up to one day at work, but already I've kind of scratched where the pivot is and everything else because of the things that I just have in my pockets. So it's really not that great. I was in education, and I went to school for education, and I was a PE, physical education teacher here in Central Florida. And I did that for many years, and I loved that job. I was committed to that job. Actually, in 2006, I was a teacher of the year at the school that I worked for, which for an elementary school PE teacher, that's kind of a big deal. Not many physical education teachers get teacher of the year at their school. But it was because my mindset, I wasn't your typical PE teacher. I felt like what I was doing was teaching these kids to love to move, and I had to have a sit down with my principal, and the person I took over for was called Coach. And just so you guys understand my mentality on that, I had to go to her and I would say, I would appreciate if you would stop calling me Coach, because I am a teacher. Just like everybody else, just like all the other teachers. I don't have a team. I'm teaching these kids to love to move. And she was thrown back by that, but then impressed by it. And then therefore, moving forward, I was always Mr. Halpern. And that's how she did it. She got all the other teachers to do it, and within that end of that 6 months of working at that school, nobody called me Coach anymore. The kids didn't call me Coach. Teachers didn't call me coach. I was Mr. Halbert. And that's kind of how it was, because I took it serious. And just like my job now, I put that into it. I take it serious. I have pride in what I do, and I feel like I do a good job, and I try to provide the best service to all of our customers. And I've worked for this company now for, oh my gosh, since 2020, sorry. I started this job in 2020, right at the height of COVID. I had bounced around after teaching, and I did some things, and I was into some managerial positions, and I was at a pretty high position. It really wasn't that high, but my job title, and it was very fancy, was the Director of Education Operations. Whatever. I was in charge of multi-million-dollar income of organizations coming in, and not organization, but departments that brought in revenue. So I was in charge of managers who were in charge of hundreds of employees, and that became a lot. And then in 2020 with COVID, some other personal things where my daughter needed me home more. And when you got a job like that, you're not home very much, and you're on the road a lot. And then with traffic and everything, I was leave my home at 7 o'clock, and sometimes I wouldn't get home until 7 o'clock. So my daughter needed me, and I needed to get away from the high stress, high anxiety jobs like that. So I decided to do pools. And for the first time, it was like peace. I can get in my truck, I can go out in the field, I can take care of all of my things, my 68 to 78 pools a week. I knew those were mine. I didn't have to answer to anybody. Nobody was calling me, nobody's emailing me, and it was great. And this company that I work for has done some amazing things. And when I left just recently and then decided, no, I need to go back to doing that, they were there for me, and they're allowing me to do 4 days. So I only work 4 days a week. I'm considered a floater, so if somebody calls out or if they need somebody to jump in, they always know they can count on me to take care of any pool that we have, whether it's a multi-million-dollar pools or just your regular neighborhood pools. I could go ahead and I can take care of everything. Everything's fine. And they take care of me, and I try to take care of them. So I hope this is probably way too much information, but I felt like it needed to be said to bring context to some of the things that I talk about when I do knife reviews. Because besides working in a marine environment all day in the water or around those waters or cutting fish or doing something like that, I'm probably next step down from that, where I'm dealing with chemicals that are really hard on steels and water and everything else. So I need something that is going to hold up to all those things, which is why I don't do a lot of pocket checks anymore, because especially this time of year, the quiet carry chase, the waypoint, that dragonfly, or the same 4 or 5 blades end up in my pocket because, well, that's kind of what I need, and those I know are going to be safe. And then sometimes I'll carry this bloom, or sometimes I'll carry my old bloom, but they always are there for me, and that's why this is the ideal blade. For me, that's the ideal fixed blade. I can strap that on my waist. I can bend, I can twist. I'm jumping in the truck, jumping out of the truck, squatting down, standing up, and I never know it's there. It's a nice small package. The handle's not poking me. It's just, that's why this makes so much sense to me. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in a carry. So I hope this kind of clears some things up, and lets you guys know kind of how what I do and maybe a little bit more understanding of how I look at knives and then my personal collection moving forward. So I hope this helps. I don't know, but I felt like it needed to be said. It's out there. And plus, now I can do live streams on my way home like somebody else does. And I could be in uniform and you guys won't question it. I'm just saying. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this clears some things up. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment, or not. The choice is always yours.